It's time to wander the world with Sharon. Enjoy this Big Blend radio podcast featuring award-winning travel writer and photographer Sharon K. Kurtz. Hey everybody, welcome. It is the first Wednesday of the month, so we are going somewhere around the world with Sharon. So Sharon, where are we going?
We are going to Slovenia.
And this is someplace you just came back from, and I think you've got a great article about it. So I did know everyone, but it's a great article. It's up on blendradioandtv.com now, and the link is in the show notes. You can also link over to Sharon's website, which is SharonKKurtz.com. That's Kurtz with a K. But give us kind of, it seems like you had like a well-rounded experience in this small country, though, right? It's small and a lot of history, a lot of natural beauty, sustainability, and but yeah, where exactly is it?
It is called Southeast Europe, and it was a part of Yugoslavia. So now they gained their independence in 1991. They're free and they're part of NATO, and it's a small country, landlocked. It's not landlocked. They do have a piece on the Adriatic coast, but it's about the size of Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
They only have 2 million people in the country.
Wow.
But what makes it so special is it is green and beautiful. 60% of the country is forested, and it was the European Green Capital in 2016. So
wow.
The whole population, they're bikers, they're hikers, they're runners, they're kayakers. They love to get out in nature.
That's awesome, because the lakes, was it Lake Bled that you went to? Is that how do you pronounce it?
Lake Bled is the iconic lake that you see in pictures. It is surrounded by the Julian Alps. It's a beautiful glacial lake, and it's got a little island in the middle with a church on it. So that is Lake Bled. Yeah. But what you're looking at behind you is Lake Bonhini. What happened was I had been to Slovenia about 2 years ago on a group tour, but only about 3 days in Slovenia. We visited Ljubljana, the capital, and Lake Bled, because those are the two famous areas that most people know. But I wanted to go back, and I met someone at a tourism event in Dallas later, and he is Blaž Kenšek. You know, Slovenian words are really hard to pronounce.
Yes.
But he has a tour company called Activity Breaks, and he takes, this is what people, if they want to go, but they don't quite want to join a group tour or know how to do it, Blaž will call them, they'll set up a Zoom, and he will meet them at the airport and take them all around Slovenia, whatever they want to do. So Blaž leads tours like hiking groups come, and maybe swimming groups, or just families. And that's what he did for my husband and I. He met us at the airport. He took us to some fabulous places that people don't know about, and they don't go because they somehow, Slovenia has this reputation of being a part of Yugoslavia, that's Eastern Europe. Ooh, they're backward. And they got their independence in 1991. It is a progressive, exciting country that is worth exploring.
Wow. So progressive too. That's interesting. I think when they become independent, it's like starting over.
Yes.
Like, who are we? What are our ideals? I mean, when you split from a country like Yugoslavia, something went down. You know what I mean? And so they had some unrest somewhere and said, no, this is not how we want to live.
They know that they want to promote ecotourism. They don't want to, you know, Croatia is their next door neighbor. And Croatia is a very popular tourist destination. They don't want to be Croatia. They don't want to have cruise ships coming in and people overwhelming them. They want travelers that are interested in an authentic, natural experience and to enjoy their natural wonders.
I love that, because I think it's all countries need to really embrace this. You know, we hear all these conversations and big meetings, everybody flying in for a big meeting, right? And then what's like, what? Now what?
Yeah,
So when you see someone actually, like a country actually taking on these initiatives, and I think it's easier when it is a smaller country to make these initiatives happen. But I mean, it is gorgeous. I mean, look at that. And they understand glaciers, right? That glacier and that lake is going to be so important for them. That kind of their water is key. Water is life, right? So they
right.
seem to understand it. And the canal behind you, don't you love canals? That's the
Isn't
beauty of
that
Europe.
beautiful? That is the Ljubljana River that flows through Ljubljana, the capital of the country. It is such a beautiful waterway. And Ljubljana, when I went for just those few days, it is so charming. People are just, you just walk around in awe of this. It looks like a fairy tale. So
Mm.
there's the river that runs through the town. You can take boat tours on the river and you go under all the bridges. They have a central square that's charming. And I have a tip about Ljubljana. If you go and you're not on a group tour, they have a free walking tour from the city center, from the Sharon. I remember it because it's like my name, Sharon Square. And you meet and it's free. They have the best guides. And then at the end, you give what you think it was worth, what it was worth to you. But she tells you the history and the everything about the city and even the country.
Wow, that's cool. I love those kind of walking tours because I almost want to do that as the first thing, when
Yeah,
we get to somewhere, like just to go through the historic downtown, because then you get this lay of the land and understand what happened, and you have more respect even because of the understanding you get from that. So that's cool that you did that tour. Um, you did, so there's a lot of history, a lot of nature. You went to national parks even,
yes.
which is
The photo behind you is Lake Bohini, and that
okay.
is in Tree Glove National Park. It is their only national park, but it's 324 square miles big.
That's
And it's
huge.
got a famous waterfall kind of right behind your head. There's a waterfall. And so way back there,
Way
way
back there.
back there. So people come to Slovenia and like Europeans, they they camp. They take their travel trailers. And so Lake Bled that I told you about with the beautiful, surrounded by the Julian Alps, that is very touristy. And for a reason, it is so beautiful.
Mm.
But Lake Bohine here is only 16 miles away, and it's 324 miles in area, and you can camp there. There's even small inns, and that's where you hike and you bike and you kayak and just get out in nature.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that they have national parks. Now, you got to see the Lipizzaner stallions. Now,
Oh,
this is like, I mean, I remember as a little girl just fawning over these just magnificent beings. I mean, I mean, just even the whole dressage, kind of those performances are incredible, but those are beautiful horses. And I can imagine you went to the stud farm that they're well taken care of, it looks like.
yes, this is an amazing story that I did not know. When we went with Blush for 3 days, he took us all around Slovenia to show us everything he thought we should see. We spent 2 nights at the Lipica Stud Farm. They have a hotel there. And this stud
Wow.
farm is historic. It was founded in 1580 by Habsburg Archduke Charles II. He came from Spain and he brought his horses, which were very important to him in the 1580s, but they traveled overland and most of them didn't make it. So he had to reimagine a new breed of horse. So this is where they started in Lipica. And so
Oh,
they're a blend of the local horses, Arabians. They just took a few horses and they started this breed, Lipizzaner.
oh.
So when they're born, the coals are dark, black,
Mhm.
for almost the first 7 years until they gradually turn white. And they can be a little bit spotted. They're actually, the color that they are is called gray, but many of them are white. So we got to stay for 2 days here, and at 9 in the morning, we went to the stables and we watched them be released to go out into the pastures for the day. And I was like, from me to you,
Oh,
I could have touched them. They're just magnificent. And
they
then
really are.
after the stallions left, then the mares and their baby colts came out. And that was, oh, they're
Oh,
so charming. So
oh,
very important a horse breed that has never been interrupted. And they show these Lipizzaner horses in Austria. It's called the Spanish Riding School. But the beginnings of this breed comes right here from Lipica.
wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I didn't know you were going to see these horses. And I, as a kid, like just that I love them. I love horses. So
So
I'm,
at the stud farm,
oh,
they have shows. They have the dressage that you can watch.
mhm.
You can even sign up and ride the horses, and they have carriage rides with the horses as well.
Wow. Wow. So beautiful horses, people. I mean, really beautiful, beautiful. Now, what about medieval villages? That's the other thing. We were talking about history earlier, but you've got medieval villages, and then you've got like vineyards and orchards, and so this is just so idyllic. It's like charm. I mean, this sounds like a little place of paradise.
It is so beautiful. Slovenia has all these regions because they're bordered on the north by Austria. So
Hmm.
that's very like, alpine. And then they're bordered on the south by Croatia and Italy. So we went to this area called Goriška Brda. It is borders Italy, and it looks like Tuscany. It's called the Tuscany of Slovenia.
Oh,
It's rolling hills, it's terraced vines, and we
mhm.
went on an e-bike ride all over this area. It
Oh,
was
wow.
so beautiful, and you just can't imagine that in this inland country is an area that looks just like Italy, but of course, it's next to Italy. As a matter of fact, if you were in Italy and you were in Venice, it is only 2 hours from Venice, this
No
beautiful
way.
area. Yes, it's a day trip if you want it to be.
Wow. Wow. And is it easy to cross borders?
Yes, nowadays it is. In fact,
Mm.
we did cross into Italy and we did not even have to show our passport. They just waved us through.
Did you
So
get gelato when you were there?
no, I didn't go that far. We just went in when we went to the Adriatic Sea, in this little place called Piran, and Slovenia only has 26 miles of Adriatic coast because most of it is Croatia there,
Hmm.
and then Italy to the north. So we did go to the seaside, and we went into Italy to go somewhere from the seaside. So no gelato for me.
Ah, well, gelato is always good though,
Yes,
if you can get it. But the coast, I mean, what's the coast like for,
it is
when you compare it
beautiful.
to, is it got the cliffs? Because I've seen some of the coastline from Croatia from, travelers and everything. But
Right.
so it looks like it's just absolutely gorgeous, but it's also got rocks and cliffs and things.
Right.
So what was it like for this
Well,
strip?
Piran doesn't have, they do have cliffs up behind the city. It goes from high areas down to the seaside. And
Mhm.
it's called Piran. It's one of the oldest cities in Slovenia. And it looks just like a little Venice because it was part of the Venetian Empire back in the day. So it's got beautiful architecture and little cobbled streets and a beautiful seashore.
Awesome.
So it's
Awesome.
got a very famous church. You have to climb, climb, climb up, and then you have a view of like red tiled roofs looking out over the beautiful water.
Oh, so that's like the Riviera, when you get
Yeah,
into those, that's what they're like Santa Barbara with all the red tile
right.
roofs. So this is, how long were you there? Didn't you want to stay longer?
I
Just,
did. We were
did you?
there. It was part of a 3-week journey that my husband and I make. The first part of it was Slovenia. We stayed for 8 days. 3 days was with my friend Blush, who hosted us and took us all around these fabulous areas. And then the rest of the time we're in Ljubljana, the capital,
Mhm.
and then down on the seaside.
Wow, wow. What
So
about the food? How was the food?
the food it's very good. It depends on your region. For instance, in the middle of the country near um the horse farm, Lipica horse farm, we went to a little cafe and it was like hearty, like sausages and bean stews, that kind of
Okay.
food. But then when you go down to the seaside, you have a lot of seafood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when you go up to toward Austria, it's more alpine and you have like more, alpine kind of foods. It is
Hmm.
all very good, but lots of fresh markets.
Oh, I like that.
When we went to Gordiska Brda, where you have the grapevines that looks like little Tuscany, they're known for their cherries, and it was cherry season.
Oh,
We There were cherry stands everywhere, and they have a cherry festival in a different, I think a little later in the season.
oh
So they're
man.
known for their stone fruits, cherries and apricots and peaches. And
Ooh, yeah, this sounds good. And so did you taste any of their wines since they have all these vineyards
oh, are you
or
kidding?
the
Yeah, all over the country. The country is known for its wine. They import, they export to our country, different countries, some of it, but a lot of it they consume right in the country. So
Mm,
that's why we don't hear about Slovenian wines. But there's many different types of grapes that grow well, and they have vineyards and wineries everywhere.
oh man, cool. Sounds like fun. I want to go. I want to go.
Yeah,
This I
you
think
should
it'd be
go.
good. Okay.
Let me tell you about the medieval village we went
Yeah,
to.
that's one thing I really wanted to hear about because that's something, when you go to Europe, if you've got to see a medieval village because it's just so like wow to me, you know?
Well, just like I said, that Slovenia is not that big. So when we were staying at the Lipica stud farm, we just took a day trip to this little village way up on a hill called Staniel.
Mm,
Um, it's hard to pronounce these words, but it was from medieval times and it was beautiful up on, and at the top of the village is a Roman encampment.
mm.
That's why they started this village, from the Roman origins. So there are only 19 people live in this village today.
Wow. 19 people in a village.
19, but there's beautiful stone, everything is stone and with red tiled roofs.
Oh.
And they give like little local tours there, and they have a community center. It was badly damaged in World War II,
Mm,
but it has been revived and brought back. And so there's like an event, a beautiful one of the ancient palaces, I think, that they renovated, and that's where they have art shows and music festivals. And so even though only 19 people live there, lots of people like to visit.
mm. The other thing too with you doing this, I mean, you're staying in hotels and things like that, so it's kind of it seems like you're getting all these different experiences. Were the hotels more like what were they like? I mean, were there historic inns? What was the lodgings like?
Well, we went down to we in Ljubljana, it was a modern city hotel, because
Hmm.
also in Ljubljana there was a lot of, you can imagine in World War II there was a lot of damage. So the building that we stayed in probably was recreated since World War II.
Mm,
So it was a modern, beautiful hotel.
hmm.
But we stayed in particular down on the sea coast when we went to the Adriatic Sea. We stayed in, it's called Pornovic.
Hmm.
It was a palace. We stayed in a palace. It was called
Seriously.
the Kapinski Palace, and the Archduke of Austria, that was their winter palace, because Slovenia was part of Austria
Yeah.
until like recent times, World War II, and then of course Yugoslavia, but before that. So this
Wow.
was their palace. And for a long time, it was like turned into a school. And then in Yugoslavia times, they didn't have a whole lot of money. So it was like vacant and sad for like 20 years, but it has been renovated and it is the most gorgeous place.
Oh,
So yeah,
and
we stayed in small places and then in palaces as well.
and then on a horse farm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild. That's
And
wild.
in the hotel in the horse farm, it's called Hotel Maestro. And what's interesting about it is it has been renovated and all of the rooms look just like you're in a tack stall. It is made with the kind of floor
Oh,
that they have in the stalls. And there's like hooks and tack up on the walls. And
okay,
you get
cool.
the feeling that you're in a horse farm in this
That is
hotel.
awesome. That's awesome. I like that. Man, this sounds awesome. And then you went to Vienna, or did you
Yes.
start? Yeah, that's going to be next month, everyone. Vienna's next month.
Well,
But
you know, the trips just kind of flowed together, but Vienna is only 4 hours from Ljubljana.
oh,
And everything is close. So
mm,
yes, the trip went on and we have more to talk about, but
uh,
everyone needs to visit Slovenia. In the show notes, I'll give you Blas's activity break website. If you want to go and you don't want to go on a group tour, call him.
oh, you've
Contact
got to
him.
send that to us so we can put that up for everyone to do the tours. It sounds fabulous. I want to go. I want to go. It just sounds like I could live there. It's got parks, it's got water, it's got nature. You
Yeah.
know, that's the thing. When you go to those areas, the natural areas, do they have like deer and that kind of like animals, birds and
Yes, deer in the parks.
mm,
But we took a couple hikes and other than little chipmunks, I didn't see and like they have bear, but no, we did not see any bear. But
okay,
they
no bear, but they have bear. All right. That I could move for. That I could
well,
move
what
for.
else is interesting about Slovenia is they have their independence now, but when they were part of Yugoslavia, it was with Tito was their the head of their
Vodka?
country.
The
No,
vodka man?
yeah, like General Tito. He was a man that was their premier of
Okay.
Yugoslavia, and he took care of his people, and he believed in free education. So all the way back, they've always had free education in Yugoslavia. Then, when they got their independence, the people were not willing to give up all these things that they had under Yugoslavia. So to this day, they still have free education for all of their residents.
Mm, I love that. The education part is huge, I think,
So it is a good country to live in.
that is, don't know if they let people live there, but, but
No,
it
I
just
don't know.
seems, but it is quality of life to me.
Yeah,
That's, and you pick that up when you travel. And I think then, travelers have better experiences in countries that have their rules, right? Don't overflood our country with the tourism kind of, be
right.
sustainable. So they have their rules, but it seems like quality of life and that the locals sound healthy and happy. And that
Yeah,
makes for a great experience too,
yeah, yeah.
So that's cool. Very cool. Well, we can't wait to talk about Vienna next. So everyone stay tuned every first Wednesday. Well, where are you going today? I know you're getting on a plane. Is it today, tomorrow? What?
No, soon I'll be going to Oakland and
Oh, that's right. California.
Lake Tahoe are my next trips.
Sad life.
Yeah.
Gotta do it. Take care. Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Wonder the World with Sharon podcast. You can keep up with Sharon's adventures at SharonKKurtz.com. Follow Big Blend Radio at BigBlendRadio.com. Happy travels.